Good afternoon. Today we are here to discuss ending suffering and honoring choice. Years ago, I had the privilege and the heartbreak of working in a hospice facility where euthanasia was not legal. I witnessed firsthand the devastating toll that terminal illness takes on the human body and spirit. I saw patients endure excruciating pain day after day, not because there was no relief options, but because the law denied them the right to choose a dignified end. These individuals were forced to wait until their bodies gave out naturally, often months or even years of suffering. For many, their final moments were not peaceful or dignified, but marked by prolonged misery and loss of the very autonomy that makes us human. That experience forever changed how I view end-of-life care. It led me to ask, if we truly care about compassion, dignity, and choice, how can we continue to deny people the right to make decisions about their own death? Today I speak to you about why this issue matters not only just ethically, but legally, emotionally, and personally. It's time we re-examine the way that we treat those at the end of life and advocate for a system that honors autonomy, minimizes suffering, and ensures every person has the right to die with dignity. To start with, euthanasia can be ethically justified when it upholds the principles of compassion, dignity, and the alleviation of unbearable suffering in terminal ill cases. Next, respecting a patient's autonomy means honoring their right to make deeply personal decisions about their own life and death, particularly when they are fully informed and mentally competent. Continuing on, legalizing euthanasia not only spares families and patients prolonged emotional agony, but also reduces the financial burden of a futile end of life care that offers no quality of life or hope of recovery. Lastly, we will discuss the robust legal safeguards such as mandatory psychological evaluations, second opinions, and clear consent procedures that ensure euthanasia is carried out ethically and only in appropriate cases. To begin, we will start with the definition of euthanasia. According to BBC, euthanasia is a practice of ending a life to relieve suffering, and it can be either active or passive. Active euthanasia involves taking direct action to end another person's life, such as administering the lethal injection. Passive euthanasia, on the other hand, involves allowing another person to die by withholding or withdrawing life-sustaining treatments, such as withdrawing life support or withdrawing a feeding tube. From an ethical standpoint, the right to die with dignity is grounded in the fundamental principle of respecting an individual autonomy. Every person should have the right to make deeply personal decisions about their own body, including the decision to end their life facing terminal illness accompanied by unrelenting pain and the loss of quality of life. Compassion, not preservation of biological function, should guide our medical ethics. Prolonging life at all costs, especially when it results in prolonged suffering, can be more harmful than humane. Ethical care means recognizing when continuing treatment no longer serves a patient's well-being and instead becomes a source of torment. Allowing individuals the option of physician-assisted death or euthanasia is not about giving up on life. It's about offering a merciful, dignified alternative when all other hope for recovery is gone. At the core of the argument for legalizing euthanasia is the principle of patient autonomy. According to Neum, patient autonomy is a fundamental principle in medicine that recognizes the rights to patients to make decisions about their own health care. It emphasizes that individuals have the ultimate authority to determine what happens to their body and to participate in the decision-making process regarding their treatment options. When facing a terminal illness with no hope of recovery, patients deserve the power to choose how and when their life ends. This isn't about encouraging death. It's about giving people the freedom to make an informed personal choice in the face of unbearable suffering. Through a careful process of informed consent, patients would be thoroughly educated about their diagnosis, prognosis, and all available options, ensuring that any decision to pursue euthanasia is thoughtful, voluntary, and medically supervised. Denying this right strips individuals of control during the most vulnerable chapter of their lives and forces them to endure pain that they neither want nor deserve. Legalizing euthanasia respects patients' voices and honors their right to a dignified and self-directed end. In addition to the ethical justification and the importance of patient autonomy and informed consent, we must also consider the tremendous financial and emotional burden that terminal illnesses place on both patients and their families. Terminal illnesses often require expensive medical interventions that do little to improve the quality of life, but come at an enormous financial cost, draining savings, insurance, and retirement funds. Families are not only left with medical bills that are absolutely devastating, but also with the emotional trauma of watching their loved ones suffer. This prolonged distress can lead to depression, anxiety, and lasting grief. Legalizing euthanasia provides an option for those who wish to avoid imposing this burden on their families and instead choose a peaceful and dignified end. It is not about valuing money over life, but recognizing when continuing treatment offers no real benefit and instead deepens suffering both emotionally and financially. Compassion includes acknowledging the full impact of terminal illness, not just on the patient, but everyone who loves them. Giving terminally ill patients the right to choose death with dignity offers them the ability to choose to end their life before their health becomes a chronic family illness and leaves the family with a more peaceful memory of their passing. According to Swart, studies show that the ability to choose assisted dying is a source of relief for patients because it reduces the feeling of being a burden and allows them to control their own death. In a separate case, according to Swart, a cross-sectional study performed in the Center for Oncology in the Netherlands of 89 family members of close friends and of a terminally ill patient who died by euthanasia, and 316 family members and close friends of cancer patients who died a natural death between the years of 1992 and 1999, shows that family and friends of those who died by euthanasia had less traumatic grief symptoms as well as less post-traumatic stress reactions than the family and friends of those who chose to die a natural death. Overall, the family and friends of those patients that chose euthanasia coped better with their loss than those that chose to die a natural death. Of course, any law permitting assisted death must include strong legal safeguards to protect vulnerable individuals, and evidence shows this is entirely achievable. In countries and states where euthanasia is legal, clear eligibility requirements are already in place, typically requiring the patient has a terminal illness and is experiencing unbearable suffering with no hope of recovery. Patients must also undergo thorough evaluations to confirm mental competence and ensure that their decision is fully informed, voluntary, and free from coercion. Most legal frameworks include additional protections such as mandatory waiting periods and the requirement for second medical opinions from 2 different physicians. Ensuring that each request is carefully considered over time, these legal layers of oversight make the process deliberate and responsible. Far from weakening the argument for euthanasia, these safeguards actually strengthen it, demonstrating that we can honor personal choice while protecting public safety, medical integrity, and ethical responsibility. In short, legal euthanasia, when properly regulated, can be both compassionate and secure. Many argue the purity of life. All life is sacred and should not be intentionally ended. However, respecting life includes respecting the quality of life. Forcing someone to endure unrelenting suffering undermines dignity. Many legal systems already permit withdrawing life support or refusing treatment. Euthanasia is an extension of that principle carried out with compassion and consent. To conclude today, the ethical justification for allowing patients to make end-of-life care decisions lies in our respect for human dignity and compassion. At the heart of this issue is patient autonomy and informed consent, the right of every individual to make deeply personal choices about their own body and future. We must also acknowledge the financial and emotional burden prolonged suffering places on families and loved ones of the patients, often compounding grief with stress and hardship. At the same time, we must ensure robust legal safeguards are in place to protect vulnerable patients and uphold the integrity of the medical care. Now is the time for us to break the silence and take action. Let us advocate for policies that empower individuals, support families, and respect both ethical principles and legal protections. Let us be the voice that advocates for compassion, choice, and dignity at the end of life. Thank you.